If people saw the real me with all of my brokenness and messy parts, no one would like me. I can't expose my weaknesses or appear too needy, or else my friends will leave me. No one would respect me or love me if they knew what I was truly struggling about or knew what I did in my past. Have you ever been there, friend? Have you ever dealt with those nasty accusations in your head? If so, you are so not alone. Each of us is born with that unexplainable ache inside that tells us we're not enough. It's this hole of not enoughness that tells us we can't be our true selves because they're just too messy or broken or embarrassing. This black hole of unworthiness is so painful. In fact, it's even scary sometimes to look at ourselves, let alone let other people see it. So, what do we do? What do we do with this shame that we feel inside? Most of the time, we try to hide. It feels like the most compelling, easiest quick fix to run away and hide from our problems. We try to cover up those parts of ourselves that we don't like and we don't want other people to see. And then we try to reinvent ourselves. We set our sights on striving toward that better version of ourselves that is way more admirable and respectful and worthy. But the truth is, friend, hiding doesn't work. Hiding merely feeds our shame. Attempting to hide from our past and our embarrassing secrets is like putting a band-aid on a festering wound. Sure, it may cover the surface and get it out of sight. But if left untreated, the wound is going to fester and infection is going to spread somewhat undetected, like a cancer, until you're in a place that is way worse than when you started. So then, what the heck is the solution? What do we do instead of hiding? Well, in this video, I'm going to discuss a much better solution, something that doesn't lead to our destruction. It's one of the main ingredients to breaking free from darkness and living into true transformation. Now, before we jump right into that solution I mentioned, let's chat a bit more about hiding so we can understand why and how we do it. Why is it that hiding, numbing, and running away from our pain and problems seemed like the most compelling solution? Gosh, it is so tempting to hide, isn't it? It's tempting to just mask away the parts of ourselves that we don't like, the parts of ourselves that are embarrassing to look at, or things we'd rather just not deal with. It feels like it would be so much better to just bury the hard stuff way down deep, try to forget about it, and then just set our sights on becoming a better version of ourselves. So I think we can all agree that it's tempting to want to hide. How exactly do we hide? We hide that hole by trying to cover up and fill it up with all sorts of different things. Think of that pit of shame you feel in your gut, like a big old hole in the middle of a high trafficked area, like maybe Central Park. The hole is filled with all sorts of embarrassing and shameful stuff about yourself that you do not want other people to see. You want to bury that stuff way down deep and try to forget about it. And also, most importantly, keep other people from seeing it. This, friend, is shame. Shame is that feeling inside of you that tells you you're just not good enough. Shame is the thing inside of us that tells us we better mask up and we can't let ourselves be seen for who we truly are. Shame says if others see what we have buried in that hole, there's no way they would love or respect us. So we've got this hole of all of our embarrassing and shameful stuff. What do we tend to do? Well, we try to bury our shameful stuff. We try to hide that hole temporarily with a bunch of leaves, and then we spend the rest of our lives on the search, striving for whatever we can get our hands on to fill that hole. We try to accumulate as much stuff as we possibly can to try to fill that shame hole and cover up the dirty stuff that we have hidden there. Well, actually, if we're honest, we don't want to just bury our shameful stuff. We want our victories to burn it all up. We want our impressive achievements to fill it up completely. Maybe we even put up some magnificent fountain or statue that make people ooh and ah at all the things we've done. We try to fill up our holes because we think if I can just fill up this darn hole, then I'll finally be happy. Then I'll finally feel worthy. Then people will like me. Then I'll finally feel like I matter in this world. Sounds appealing, right? The whole not having to sort through and deal with our shame garbage and just go out there and strive for things that can help erase our failures and make ourselves seem more impressive sure does seem tempting. But here's the thing, friend. Hiding our shame about who we really are and striving for a better version of ourselves somewhere out there feels like the easier option. But the truth is, hiding merely feeds our shame. We can't just bury our shame and pain and hope that it'll go away. Despite our exhausted efforts to try to go out there and fill our hole with a bunch of impressive stuff, it will never make a notable dent in our feelings of unworthiness, or, for that matter, our fear of exposure. In fact, the more we strive, it tends to make that hole grow bigger and way deeper. Allow me to speak from personal example to illustrate this truth a bit further. If you're sitting there thinking, this is me, I am such a hider, I try to avoid my pain at all costs, you're looking at a girl that used to be a pro at all of it. For years, decades even, I was in hiding. Honestly, I wasn't trying to be deceitful or inauthentic. My hiding was in large part very subconscious. I struggled with that deep down, hard to pinpoint feeling of I'm just not good enough that made me feel like I had to become something other than I truly was. It always felt like everyone else was so much better than me. They knew what they were doing in life. They knew what they were good at. They knew how to make friends. And they just seemed so confident. Meanwhile, there's me who is inside secretly terrified and so insecure about who she is. I felt embarrassed about who I truly was. I didn't feel cool, smart, or confident enough to fit in with other people. Despite having my own unique gifts and talents, I questioned my worth. I didn't feel like what I had to offer was that big of a deal. I felt like I was forgettable, and no one would really care if I wasn't there. I felt like I needed to change and improve who I was to the core so I could finally stop feeling so insecure about myself and to be more appealing to other people around me. I started looking outward to other people to tell me who I should be and who they wanted me to be. How did I have to show up and what did I have to do to be valued and worthy in this world? So I took notes from out there and tried to follow those rules. I became the good girl, the overachiever, the excellent student, the good Christian example. I became the agreeable one who didn't wrestle too many feathers. I became the attractive one, the girl who takes care of her appearance but isn't too into herself. Like Adam and Eve, who reached for those fig leaves to cover up their shame when they realized that they were naked, I reached for things like this to try to cover up my own shame about who I was. I became so good at masking away the parts of myself that I didn't like that I soon didn't even realize that I was doing it. I thought I was chasing a better version of myself. I thought I was on the path to self-improvement. But what I was really doing was hiding. I was hiding behind things like emotional numbing to forget about the fact that I didn't really like who I was and I felt insecure almost all of the time. Chasing happy and living for the weekends to numb away the fact that I didn't really feel fulfilled in my job. I didn't know what my purpose was, and I didn't even know what I was here for. I hid behind people pleasing and trying to be the fun friend to mask away the fear that I was afraid that if I didn't keep my friends happy or if I showed up too needy, that my friends would abandon me. These are some of the fig leaves that I personally would pick up when I felt ashamed, afraid, depressed, or just purposeless in life. They were my quick fixes so I could get a bump of happiness to avoid looking at the bigger problems that I was dealing with inside. Emotional numbing, distraction, and masquerading as a manicured version of myself was the way that I used to deal with my shame. But let me tell you, friend, it didn't lead anywhere good. I'll get more into the details of my personal journey in more detail in a future video, but for now, let me just fast forward to that rock bottom moment of my life. Hiding from my shame and suppressing the uncomfortable emotions that I didn't want to feel led me to the cages of a life-threatening eating disorder that nearly robbed me of my life. On the surface, friend, hiding our shame doesn't look like that big of a deal. And in the short term, maybe it's not. Maybe in the short term, it actually works to help relieve some of your pain and problems. But trust me, friend, this habit of hiding will set you on the trajectory toward your own destruction. If left untreated, you'll find yourself stuck in some sort of prison. You may even find yourself face to face with a rock bottom moment, just like I was. Bottom line, hiding will never, ever solve that hole that you feel inside. Attempting to fill that hole through your own efforts will simply not work. So, what then, Rachel? What's the solution? Well, I'm glad you asked, friend. Here it is. The solution to shame that by far outweighs whatever benefit that hiding offers is this: unmasked honesty. Unmasked honesty? Is that it? Hang would be friend. Let me explain. Unmasked honesty looks like putting down the masks we wear and taking a good look at what's true about us. It's when we stop pretending that everything's fine and confront our inner demons. It's when we stop masquerading and pretending to be someone we're not. It's when we stop living in denial and admit, this isn't working, I'm so not okay, and I need some help. Unmasked honesty is when we own up, admit, and stop denying that we have unwanted darkness that's been terrorizing us underneath the surface. To experience true healing and breakthrough, we need to stop hiding and we need to be honest. So, what does that look like? Well, unmasked honesty has three main components. First, we need to be honest with ourselves. We can't heal if we don't admit we're sick. We need to stop numbing, distracting, and denying away our problems. Only when we're honest and face our internal darkness can we find a true fix. In other words, we need to feel our real in order to heal. Okay, so on to the second component of unmasked honesty. Not only do we want to be honest with ourselves, we also want to be honest with others. We were created for relationship, friend. We weren't meant to do life alone. Why are relationships so important? Well, for one, they tend to make it harder to hide. We need safe people in our lives that we can trust, who love the true versions of ourselves and can help hold our pain. There is power in exposure, friend. Darkness loses some of its power when it's exposed to the light. Shame tells us to cover up and avoid letting anyone else see the things that we're dealing with. It tells us that if others knew the truth about us, that they would shame us, judge us, pity us, maybe even abandon us completely. But hear me, friend, it's all such a lie. It's an empty threat. It's a threat that has teeth and sure, sounds a bit valid, but it is such a lie. The truth is, when we put words around the things that we're struggling with, shame and darkness lose some of their power. First, we feel a sense of relief when we share with other people the things that we've been struggling with. And on top of that, true friends and family who love you deeply will meet you with encouragement and compassion and will be able to help you through the struggles. We are not meant to fight alone, friend. We need each other. So we need relationships with safe people, people who we can trust and be our true selves with. But sometimes we also need some additional reinforcements. For example, sometimes we need other people who have the expertise to help us through some of the struggles that we're dealing with. People like therapists, Christian counselors, or specialists who know our pain and can help us work our way to breakthrough. Another amazing source of reinforcement are those who are struggling with the same kind of struggle. There is so much power in fighting against your struggle, along with other people who are doing the same thing. They just get it. They understand you. There's no need for explanation. This includes people who are struggling just as much as you are, people that are just a bit further along than you, who can prove to you that the fight's worth it, and those who have been there and found their way to victory, who can help you find your way there as well. For example, when I was dealing with my eating disorder, one of the most powerful resources that I ever had was surrounding myself with other recovery warriors who are trying to fight their way to victory as well. I sought out intensive inpatient therapy with other people who are fighting, and I also joined various communities online to just spend time with people who knew my struggle and were trying to find solutions to fight past the barriers we were facing. In these communities, there was no explanation necessary. Their shame looked a lot like my shame, so we just felt so seen and we felt like we belonged somewhere. Our loved ones are so important and so vital for us, but sometimes we need other reinforcements. People who know the struggle, who have been there, are dealing with the same thing, or have gotten through it to be around us. We just need it because it makes us feel so seen and validated and helps us fight through because they've been there, they get it, and they're doing the same thing. Friend, I don't know what kind of darkness you're up against, but what I do know is that you're not meant to fight alone. You need other people who you can be honest with, people who can know about your pain and hold your hand as you walk toward victory. Okay, so now let's move on to that third and final component of unmasked honesty. The first two components of being honest with yourself and others are so important, but possibly the most vital of them all is this third step, being honest with God. Bottom line, we cannot fix ourselves. God knows we've all tried, but I think we can all admit trying to fix ourselves and strive to become better versions of ourselves just isn't working. It's not resolving that pit of shame that we feel that tells us we're not good enough. There's simply no outrunning our feelings of unworthiness or our pains from our past. There's no amount of accolades, career successes, physical attractiveness, money, popularity, or relationships that can help us overcome that voice inside that says, there just has to be more to life than this. Or the voice that has us question, do I truly actually matter? Let's be honest. Even when we do reach our goal, the goals we think that are going to make us happier and feel more confident, what actually happens? We finally feel satisfied and happy. We finally feel like we're good enough. We finally feel like we've made it. Heck no. We experience a bump of victory and dopamine. And then what? We find ourselves still wanting more. Our personal achievements are just simply not enough to fill up that big, ugly hole inside. Friend, no matter how hard we try, we simply can't fix ourselves. And not only that, but we can't possibly fix what we don't even know is broken. So much of the darkness that we wrestle with is hidden so far deep inside that we need God's help to expose it to the light. Therapy and counseling are great tools to confront our brokenness and work our way toward healing, but they simply aren't enough. There's simply no replacement for an intimate relationship with God, who is the best counselor of them all. God is not only a loving Father who loves us so deeply it's hard to even put words to, but God created us. He knows us so intimately. He knows us better than we know ourselves. He knows us better than anyone. So friend, who better to diagnose our problems? A lot of times we are fighting shadows we're not even aware of. We may know that we're struggling. We know about the problems and the habits that we want to get rid of in our lives. But a lot of times it can be so hard to pinpoint that core wound, the source of all of the pain and problems in our lives. And we need God's help to get there. We may have trouble understanding the root of our problems, but God sees it all. He knows the source of our pains, and He wants to help us break free. But honestly, friend, the only way God can help us heal is if we're willing to step out of our darkness and into His light. We can't fix what we don't know is broken, remember? Bringing light to the things that we'd rather keep hidden away in the dark can feel so scary because it feels so vulnerable. But friend, I promise you, it is so worth it in the end. With exposure comes breakthrough and healing. When we are 100% real with God and let Him look at all of our dirty and broken stuff, He can help expose the lies we've been believing about ourselves and help us see how He sees us and how He thinks about us. He can help us get to the bottom of why we feel the way that we feel, why we do the things we do, and help heal us from the brokenness of our past. He can help uncover the gifts and passions He put in us and breathe new life into our lives so that we can live on fire and on purpose in a way that feels so satisfying. Friend, God sees all the darkness that you've been battling, and He wants to help you to victory. His invitation to us is always open. We just need to say yes and invite Him in and let Him do His work. Now, before I close, I want to just mention one last really important thing about this whole being honest with God thing. This is incredibly important, particularly if you're feeling a bit anxious about showing up with all your dirty stuff and being really real and honest with God. The thing I want you to keep front of mind is that God isn't angry, ashamed, or disappointed with you. He's not judgmental, and He will never shame us for what we've done in our past. He will never point His finger at the mess we've gotten ourselves into. That may be how our earthly fathers or caregivers or other people have treated us in life, but that is simply not how God treats us. God is loving, compassionate, and tender with us. When we expose our true self to Him, He doesn't just see our brokenness, He sees our radiant selves. When He looks at us, He sees us through the lens of Christ, and what He sees is beautiful and radiant. He sees the version of ourselves that He created us to be. Friend, you are his baby girl. He looks at you with such tenderness and love, and he wants to fight for you like a mama bear would fight for her cub. He loves you with a fierce kind of love, and you are never a disappointment or a failure in his eyes. God sees the potential and purpose he's put into you. And yes, he sees the brokenness as well, but he sees that as darkness that is simply blocking our light, blocking our true potential. God doesn't blame or shame you for the darkness that you're facing. He wants to help remove it. So remember, friend, God has your back. He wants the best for you, and he is the best one to help you out of the darkness that you're facing right now. It's safe to be 100% honest and real with God, even if you're real and the things that you're really feeling feel pretty ugly and feelings that maybe you shouldn't have or shouldn't expose to God. That's a lie, and you can be honest. He wants relationship with us, and when we expose ourselves to his light and show him all of our darkness, he is ever so tender and loving, and he is the one who will fight to help us find victory. God wants to help us break free from the darkness so we can live a life that is so meaningful and purposeful, that we can feel significant and do away with our shame. God wants that for you. So do yourself a favor, friend, and step into the light. Invite him in and be 100% honest with him. So there you have it, friend. One of the key ways to help us break the hold of shame and break free from darkness is unmasked honesty. As we discussed, striving or hiding might feel like the easier option, but it only leads us to a world of trouble. As uncomfortable and vulnerable it may feel, unmasked honesty is the way to go. We want to be honest with ourselves, we want to be honest with others, and we want to be honest with God. Shame loves secrets. It's the way it fuels our insecurity and that feeling of not enoughness. So take away its power. Bring it out into the light with unmasked honesty. Now, before I let you go, I want to leave you with a call to action. Head knowledge isn't enough to change us. We need action. So then, I challenge you to commit yourself to taking one small step toward unmasked honesty this week. Unmasked honesty isn't something that you need to do all at once. All you have to do is take one step at a time. So ask yourself, what is one step I can take toward unmasked honesty? Maybe you want to start with being honest with yourself. Maybe you've been living in denial. Is there some kind of secret sin or struggle that you're dealing with that needs to be exposed? Is there something that you've been excusing away as not that big of a deal, or I'll deal with it later? Something that you know is wrong, but just keep doing? Or perhaps something that is becoming kind of a big deal? Be honest with yourself. Or maybe you want to pick a step toward being honest with other people. Is there a friend you can confide in to let them know that there's a secret struggle that has been monopolizing your life? Is there a therapy group you might want to research? Is there someone in your church that you can seek out for some prayer and direction? Or friend, maybe your next step is to be honest with God. Maybe you want to pick up that Bible that's been collecting dust and start to dig in so you can get to know God a bit more and see how he truly sees you and what he says about you. Maybe you want to journal about your real feelings and struggles before God with no filter and just be completely and entirely honest. Maybe you want to spend some time alone in prayer and release all those feelings and thoughts and doubts that you've been keeping locked away inside. Whatever your first step is, friend, just take that one next step forward. Refuse to let darkness have its way with you. Take courage, take charge, and defiantly step into the light. All right, friend, I am cheering you on. That's it for today. But if you liked what you heard, click that subscribe button so you don't miss what's up next. And if you found this video helpful, click that like button or share this video with a friend who might find it helpful. Lastly, if you're interested in finding out more about what one-on-one coaching with me would look like, I encourage you to schedule a free 30-minute discovery call. The link for that is below in the show notes. All right, friend, that's it. I'm cheering you on. And remember, take action, because that's where true change happens.